So, when you're answering a question, would you recommend telling a story within your answer that relates to the job? And what are your thoughts on answering questions that don't necessarily relate to the position you're applying for?
Okay, remind me of that one because I don't have the legal pad to take notes here. No, it's a great question. You could answer a performance-based interview question one of two ways, I believe. I believe you could answer it telling the story so long as the components of your story answers the actual question. You talk about everything in your story that they want to know. The other way you could answer it is you really could, kind of like in a bullet of format, go down and give the facts of your accomplishment as relevant to what they asked. So you can just give statements of, this is how much money I was working with, these were how many teammates I have, these were the departments I worked with, these were the outcomes. You certainly could do that. And that's nice, and I think you answered the question. One of the things I think indirectly you're trying to do during an interview is you're also trying to make an impression and be memorable. Right? The interview panel is talking to several people, and you want to be memorable. In my experience, when you frame your answer in the form of a story, a concise story, not a story that rambles on, a story that stays focused, and a story that answers their questions, stories are more memorable than a list of facts. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So I do like that form, but again, please be concise. Don't ramble. Don't go off the topic, and make sure you cover the items that the interviewers asked you. What was the second part of your question?
What do you think about, I guess you kind of answered it. It was more of, what do you think about telling a story that doesn't necessarily relate to the position?
Yeah, you want to be careful. If the question they ask you, you don't have any or very minimal experience, or you can't remember the facts of your accomplishment, first of all, take a note, you didn't do enough homework, right? Second of all, if things don't ramble on for the sake of saying something during the question. Ask them to skip it, and maybe if we can come back to that question later on towards the end of the interview. Gives you a little bit more time to think. Okay. And at the same time, in the next 2 or 3 answers you give, it might spark something you remember to answer that previous question that you skipped.
Right.
So yes, certainly your answers want to be concise. What did you do in the situation? How did you go about doing it? And then finally, what were your results, your outcomes, or what did you learn from the situation?